Hello YouTube, my name is Nero and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 3, and today I would like to discuss multiplayer maps in Call of Duty, specifically the themes and the settings of various Call of Duty maps throughout Call of Duty's history, because I am very passionate about this. You guys probably have heard me talk about this before. I love maps that have a very cool setting and a very cool theme. I'm somebody who, almost to a detriment, will defend a map, even if it's a bad map, as long as it has a cool and interesting theme. That's just something about me, and I think it's due to the fact that I've been playing this series for almost 10 years now. I started in 2007. It's 2016 now. It's kind of crazy, right? I've been playing Call of Duty for a very long time, and so I've seen a lot of things. I've seen a lot of things that have been redone. There's a lot of things I like and a lot of things I dislike about these settings and themes of multiplayer maps, and I would like to discuss that here in this video. So, standard multiplayer maps in Call of Duty, they are usually based upon the single-player campaign of the game. That's why it all kind of makes sense. You play through the campaign, you see the story, you see the locations, and then they build multiplayer maps based upon the stuff that they've already built in the campaign. That's kind of how things go. I don't think Call of Duty builds their multiplayer maps first, then builds a campaign around that. That wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. So that's why we get the maps that we do. It's typically based, or at least loosely based, on various campaign missions throughout the single-player version of that game. And a lot of DLC maps are also based upon the campaign of the game that they were featured in, but at times, they're not, and those are the maps that I really tend to prefer. I love when Call of Duty multiplayer maps are made just for fun. I love maps that are goofy and have a unique setting, especially in the more recent Call of Duty games. And whenever I mention that, people come at me with, Nero, it's a war game, not a kid's game. We don't need all these bright, flashy maps. You don't need to be playing in all these kiddie zones like a water park and stuff like that. But honestly, guys, to me, this is just my opinion, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this. Call of Duty used to be a war game. It used to be set in real wars and in real battles and take place and stuff that actually happened, but over the past couple of years, they've lost that war feeling, at least to me anyway. And again, this may be coming from somebody who's just been playing the series for like 10 years now, so I've seen everything, and just for me, I don't get a war feeling when I play Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 2 or Advanced Warfare. Call of Duty Ghosts I kind of did, but for the most part, Call of Duty games don't feel like a war game. They just kind of feel like a shooter game to me more than a war game. This is why I absolutely adore fun and interesting DLC maps. I like Grind and Cove and Magma, and I have these written down. Studio, Rush, Sideshow, Splash, Skyjack, Gauntlet, Spire, Berserk, which is coming in DLC 3. These cool and interesting maps that are set in fun locations. Now, I get that some standard maps are also set in cool locations, but the vast majority of the really fun and very unique multiplayer maps come from DLC, because studios can typically go crazy when it comes to the settings of their DLC maps, because they're not supposed to make sense. They're just there kind of for fun. Maps that are set in a water park or on a flying ship or a paintball center or a skate park or what have you, they're just so much more fun to play on, in my own personal opinion. And I get that to some people, Call of Duty is still a war game, but for me, and again, perhaps due to 10 years of playing the franchise, maps are more fun if they have a unique setting. That's just for me personally, but I'm definitely only one person, so I can see why Call of Duty continues to make standard multiplayer maps, and actually makes perfect sense for them to continue to make standard multiplayer maps that is of stuff that we've seen before in Call of Duty, because it makes the most sense. If Call of Duty was nothing but water park maps and volcanoes and paintball arenas and movie studios, then those maps would cease to be interesting at a point, because every map is like that, right? The settings would lose a lot of their flavor if every map was that way. Simultaneously, if Call of Duty was nothing but war-torn cities and construction zones like it used to be, then those maps will also get boring very quickly. Having both styles is one of the many reasons why Call of Duty remains to be the best-selling game year in and year out. Fans always have something new and unique and interesting to play on, and they go back and forth between that. Some maps are very realistic, very gritty. Then there's other maps where it's like, oh, look at this, we're on a water park, I'm going underwater, I'm swimming through a pool right now in Call of Duty with my assault rifle, right? There's definitely a contrast there, and I think that contrast is actually a good thing. Now, the argument could definitely be made that Call of Duty used to be a bunch of war-torn cities and construction zones, like in Call of Duty World at War or in Modern Warfare 2, and yes, it did work for those games, but as Call of Duty continues to go further into the future, why stick back to this like gritty, realistic construction zones, war-torn cities, military base themes, right? Black Ops 3, they're going anywhere with it. They do crazy things with their multiplayer maps, and I adore that. I think it's absolutely amazing. They're not so grounded. They can do whatever they want with it, and it makes sense within the context of the game itself, right? It just seems to make a lot of sense. So if they were to go back to Vietnam or go back to World War II, then sure, I don't want to have, a volcano map in my World War II game. I don't want to be on a flying ship in my Vietnam game or anything like that, because that doesn't make a whole lot of sense within the context of the game. But these newer games game, since we keep going further into the future and we keep doing more crazy, unique things with the movement system and exoskeletons, and now we're going to space with Infinite Warfare. If you're going to continue to push ahead with the time period that these games are going to be set in and the stuff that's available to us in those worlds that they're creating, you better do some interesting things besides just war-torn cities, right? It just seems to make the most sense. So that's why I love the way Call of Duty does their maps. I'm happy that we have standard multiplayer maps that are based upon the campaign that are kind of rooted in somewhat reality, right? And I also love the fact that we have really cool maps like movie studios and flying ships and Gauntlet, which is like a military train complex, but has all these different seasons like in it. Like you got like the forest section, then you got the snowy section, then the city section. Like I'm glad that Call of Duty can do that. And I think that blends in very well with a lot of these standard multiplayer maps that come with the game as well. You have a nice mix there. And again, that's one of the many reasons why Call of Duty is so successful, is the maps themselves are usually pretty fun to play on. And if they don't play well, at least sometimes they have really cool settings as well. So you can't bat 1,000 in terms of how a map plays. You can try your best to make a good map, but at least you can make a cool settings. Even if it doesn't play very well, you have a cool setting in there as well. I'm very opinionated on this. It's something that I'm very passionate about. Again, been playing Call of Duty for a very long time, so I've seen a lot of things. And so when I see things that are just, oh, cool, another city, huh? Oh, another war-torn city. Yep, there's a tank. Yep, there's the building that's falling over. It's like, I've seen this so many times. So when they do new and interesting things, I absolutely adore that. And ladies and gentlemen, that is going to conclude this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Let me know down there in the comment section below. What are your thoughts on the settings and the themes of multiplayer maps here in Call of Duty? I would love to know about that. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you did, please drop me a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.